Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. Well below average. Thanks for joining us again. We're here with Nick Neppach. How you doing today? Back this week, taking a sabbatical.
I'm good. I'm glad to be back and happy to be here. So I'm feeling way better. So that's good.
That's awesome. And then Roy White is here as well. He was here during our fun episode last week with Dan McDowell. How's it going? How's your week been?
It's been solid, another week in the books, and it looks like we were kind of getting some springtime here in North Texas, and then the following week is supposed to be back down into the 30s. So if you're not familiar with Texas weather, wait a couple of days, and it's likely to change on you, and sure enough. So whatever, man. I'm working from home, so it's all the same to me, right? It just means whether I got to set my thermostat to heat or cool.
Yeah, this is the perfect kick the window open day, though. It's pretty nice out there today. But yeah, Texas weather is a bummer, but we hope we can bring a little joy to your life. So I wanted to talk a little bit to begin with. So, Roy, you went to UNT? Is that what I read?
I did.
Okay.
UNT alumni. Even was at the radio station, KUNT as we called it, but they don't call it that.
Wait a minute. It hit me.
Was that the original name?
No, they go with KNTU.
Okay.
Yeah, but we all know,
We all know what's up.
Right? I mean,
right.
Really, what we all came from, right, is KUNT.
Well, yes. Fine school. I was going to let you know my 17-year-old has committed to UNT and going into the film, television, and other that department. Yeah, radio department. So I don't know what she'll be doing with her life, but for the next 4 years she'll be learning that trade. So
a lot of great professors there, and I mean even more so the technology, right? Just the access to the tools that you'll need in that realm, whether it's radio, television, or film. That was one of the best things about that university was we could access the stuff that professionals are using, which is more standard around the country nowadays because, quite honestly, that technology is a lot less expensive, right? I mean, most people can shoot films depending on what type of iPhone you have these days, and it's advertised as such. So maybe it's not as much of a big deal these days, but, when it comes to lighting, when it comes to, those types of tools, it's all available to you. At least it was to me when I went to UNT, and that was over 13 years ago now. Lots changed since then.
Back in the day, I remember I played my brother's final high school playoff game was on that field. That beat pretty soundly. But yeah, it's a good university looking, I know I've spoken with our friend KT about it. He gave her a little bit of advice as she starts her college career up there. And y'all are a few years away from dealing with that, so lucky you.
Quite a few years away. By the time my kids get to it, right, it'll probably all just be like coding and trade schools at that point, but we'll see. I'm starting a college fund now just in case.
Yeah, I mean, start it. If they don't use it, go on a vacation. And
right.
And it's, I wanted to give Nick, I don't know if you're talking about this right now or not, but it is something you've been doing on Twitter, the cerebral palsy, I'm probably not saying that right, awareness month. Cerebral.
You can say it however you want. Some people say cerebral, some people say cerebral palsy, but yeah, March, I don't know who made it up, but apparently it's Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. So I have that, so I try to raise awareness for it. But yeah, I try to tweet something out every day just to get it out there. And it's March, so we're in it, and here we are. But I don't have much to add other than you're not going to hear it on the news most of the time, but it's a thing out on the internet if you search it.
Internet's full of cool stuff. Any luck with those shoes? For a while, they were looking for those
those Nike shoes that are like are made to be like what's the word, like disability accessible. Like they're easier to put on, they're easy to put off. They have like a hinge in them. No, I even like signed up for the alerts, like when Nike like restocks them, and they, it's like midnight and they're selling out. I mean, I haven't checked in a while. The last 2 or 3 times they sell in like 5 minutes, and then they're being resold for like $300 or something like that, when the retail is like $120. So it's pretty absurd. But yeah, no luck. Still looking, still checking, but nothing so far. And I'm not gonna pay $300 for a pair of shoes, just out of principle.
Yeah, I don't think my wardrobe is valued at $300 currently in total.
It's frustrating that there would be people purchasing those that would then be immediately looking to resell them. Like that's really frustrating. There should be some kind of a verification process to even get in line for something like that.
Or like at the very least, like you can't, like there should be some sort of like strict, I don't know, some way to not resell them. Like or at least publicly on the internet. Like, yeah, let's at least try, right? But yeah, it's not surprising, but it's certainly frustrating. But that's where we're at. So I guess thanks, Joe Biden, right?
It's all his fault. Gas prices and the resale market for shoes, directly controlled by the president.
No kidding.
Well, let's get kicked off on the show. I don't know how to make my thing not blurry, but we'll talk about our sponsors real quick. You want to go first? Talk about Rodeo Coffee, Nick.
Yeah, the blurry black shirt behind Adam there is Rodeo Coffee. They are locally roasted right here in Fort Worth. They have a coffee truck, trailer, whatever you want to call it, out near Alito in the Walsh neighborhood. And you can get espresso drinks and all kinds of stuff and buy their bags of coffee. But great stuff. Check them out. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, all of those places. They are out at the truck Thursday through Sunday, I think 7 to 11, unless they adjust the hours, which they would post on their social media account. So check them out and tell them we sent you and buy some coffee.
Yes, Rodeo Coffee is amazing. Columbia Blend is awesome. The blurry yellow thing is from Local Menace. It is a Dallas-based artist-owned streetwear brand, hell-bent on destroying your wardrobe. Check them out at localmenace.com. They do hats, hoodies, all kinds of cool, there is no theme, but awesome stuff, awesome artwork, wearable. Check it out. Use code BEARDCREW. Let them know we sent you, and you get 25% off your order at localmenace.com. And Isch Beardworks as well. If you have a nice beard like me, go ahead and grab a bottle of that, and look amazing. But let's get into our news. Everybody ready for some news?
Go for it.
All right. So this isn't really a news story, but I was thinking about, as I often do, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Mm-hmm. He's
you to think of him?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think of keep your enemies close, right?
Yeah, it's funny for a guy who bemoans cancel culture as much as anybody else. You sure know a hell of a lot about the guy. I don't mean just you. I feel like I know far too much about Mike Lindell than I should for a guy who, again, has self-proclaimed himself to be quite canceled.
Well, he is not. And something I looked up, because I'm thinking, I don't know what made me think of him, but he's got to be running out of money. Like all these legal things, this evidence he has and all these court cases and stuff he's doing. I actually found the My Pillow financials this morning. They are making tons of money. They jumped up almost $100 million in revenue in 2020, and they're projecting even better in 2022. So
cancel culture playing well for Mike Lindell. But you also have to remember, right, he's not just the My Pillow guy anymore. He's got hats, he's got shirts, he's got linens, he's got cottons, he's got plushware, he's got shoes. They've expanded their brand, and unfortunately, there's an audience that plays to where I'll be damned if the quality of the pillow is like any good at all. My father has one. It's not that. It's nothing special of a pillow, but it costs you $60. And if you are willing to pay it because you're so frustrated by culture and woke culture that you'll support a guy who claims to have been affected by it himself, it can be a lucrative enterprise.
Yeah. So thinking about, with my business, trying that tactic, I think it'll work for me. I'm going to say I've been canceled and like get everybody to feel sorry for me and buy millions of dollars worth of my stuff.
I think the idea of my pillow, like, not a bad one. Like, claim you have this great pillow, and like pillows are something that's very, like, I like a firm pillow, you like a soft pillow, and like we have this great pillow, but there's no way for you to try it. You got to buy it. And I don't know. I forget if it was one of my parents or somebody had one. They're like, oh, this is one of those. This was years ago, like before, when it was just some normal ad you heard all the time. Like, this is one of those My Pillows, and I was like, I prefer the pillow that I have. This pillow is pretty average. Also, I would say most pillows, unless they're like hard memory foam, are the exact same. Like, unless you're just shaping it different, same thing. But I guess if you can make money, going back to the shoes thing, doesn't matter how you can, how you get it. I guess you'll do anything, act any way to make a little extra money. I can't be mad at it. I don't know if I'd do anything different, but yeah, extremely canceled and extremely not canceled at the same time. And what is Mr. Mike over there? Whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's definitely profiting off that, and I feel like it's the same people that are funneling millions of dollars into Trump's social media platform. So there's money to be had.
He's not the one that Trump's not using himself.
Oh, he's not on Truth Social? Is that what it's called? Truth?
He's not used it one time, apparently, according to people that follow that stuff, because so few people are on it that he's not even interested in it, right? He's not even interested in endorsing it himself.
That's nice. I saw a TikTok the other day. Somebody claimed the name President Joe Biden and put a picture of Biden, and he goes on and trolls people on Truth Media as Joe Biden. It's pretty funny he posts the comments of all the right wingers getting really mad at him. So there's enough pillow talk between three guys. Let's move on to our next actual story. It's here. I know what I'm doing. I'm sure y'all have heard about this. Teacher accused of slapping student charged with battery.
I have not seen this, actually. I mean, I feel like this kind of thing has happened before, but I've not seen this specific story.
Have you, Roy?
No, I hadn't heard about it, but the first thing that comes to mind is the short-lived NBC television program, I think, that was titled The Slap.
I remember that.
All about a family that was like torn apart because one day at a picnic, one of the children was being, over the line, and the uncle slapped him in the face, right? And it basically was the genesis of like the entire reasoning behind the show. I think it only lasted a season or two. I don't even know if it made it to a second season, but I think of that and I think, yeah, slap from a teacher. Just having a wife in the educational system, I could probably justify it. I'll tell you now.
What age does your wife teach?
Yeah. So she's in elementary school.
Okay.
She teaches anywhere between, kindergarten to like 5th or 6th grade. And some of the stories that she's told, I mean, these kids, an individual kid, caused literally thousands of dollars worth of damage in a room. Just tore it apart, right? Ripped, siding off the walls, threw desks into the walls, creating holes in the walls. And they're in a position now where they just have to let them do that. They can't restrain the child. They can't stop the child. They can't put their hands on the child or prevent him from doing these things if it has to be done in a physical way. And for kids like that, it has to be done in a physical way.
Yeah, my wife was at teacher's aid years ago, and she was actually certified to restrain students. She had to go to like special trainings on how to take them down, put them in a headlock.
Yeah. More of those. Hey, that move, by the way, that got the shirt to focus. Rodeo coffee there.
There you go.
Just for the record, so now you know how to call for it, just in case you need to.
This teacher, is there a backstory of why this specific teacher slapped said student?
So there's no specific. I'm imagining it doesn't have anything with the student. I've seen the video. It's at least middle school, maybe high school. No, it's high school. Sorry. Essentially is the student was kicked out of the class. The student says he was kicked out of the class, started walking down the hallway. The teacher, who was 61 years old, probably 35 years of being fed up with, students, chased him down, and it's on video, grabbed him by the bag, smacked him so hard his kid's head hit up against the wall, and then held him up and chewed him out, and other teachers came and the guy was walked off. So it was pretty egregious, maybe a hair over the line.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I said I could justify just about anything, but I mean, your description of that video is pretty damning. I mean, it would have to take something special for the child to warrant that, and if it's not on video to show it, tough to back it.
Have either of you ever been slapped? Not like punched, but like slapped in the face?
Like a grown man, or like my mom growing up?
Well, my story is from my mom. When I was like 13 or 14, I was maybe 15 actually. I was old enough to sit in the front seat, however old that is, and I guess back then way different than now. But either way, I had gotten to the point where I'm a teenager. I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. And I don't even know what I said, but I mouthed off to my mom something extremely disrespectful, I'm sure. And we were in the car, and she just reached across, whack, right across the face. And I never said anything like that again, but I was like blown away. I was shocked. But she got me pretty good. My mom always got her nails done, so there was a little extra there. But I definitely deserved it. I mean, and we still talk about it today, like about a sore subject, but I mouthed off to her pretty good, and she wasn't going to have it. So that's the one time I've ever gotten slapped, but it was pretty significant.
I mean, my mom slapped me, I don't know, quite a few times. I mean, not like abusively, but yeah, I've been slapped. I was a bit of a disobedient kid, and I don't know. I mean, I was born in '83, so in the '80s it was a little different, a little less touchy-feely, I guess. The most memorable, the last time I was slapped was in Marine Corps boot camp. That was an interesting experience.
Sounds like another man.
That was a grown man. That's the first and only time I've been slapped by a grown man. We were packing for field exercise, and I was just going packing. And he was wrong because he apologized and then yelled at me some more. But yeah, he thought he'd say something, and I'd pack it. Say something, I'd pack it, and I was going really fast, and I don't think he thought I missed something, and he started yelling at me. And then he started pulling the stuff out and saw everything was there. And I kind of said something smart ass, like his boot camp drill instructor, basically, to the extent, told you so, sir, and he smacked the crap out of me. And then I froze up because my instinct was to
smack it back.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do I do? And then he fixed my collar. It's okay. And I said, thank you, sir. And then he yelled at me for 5 more minutes. I don't know. I'm just gonna pack my bag and then move on.
No, that's something. I mean, that's definitely something. Yeah, my story's similar to Nick's. Just mouthing off to my mother. Did it one time, took a slap, and never did it again.
Yeah, Yeah, I got on my mom's nerves a lot. I was only know it wasn't a frequent thing, but yeah, it was more than once. Enough to was like, it never taught me a lesson. But this gentleman is actually facing 2.5 years in prison for his slap, up to 6 months to 2.5 years in prison, and is actually was arrested and released on bond the other day.
Where was it?
Elkhart, Indiana.
Man.
I wish I had the video. The video's not on this news article. I tried to show it, but yeah. So we had a slap-happy teacher there, and next story is kind of has to do with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but not at all really. Have you seen these videos? Like, I think it was Ohio governor ordered that all like Russian products be removed from shelves, like Russian vodka, all that.
Yeah, Greg Abbott said the same thing here in Texas, I think, right? I don't know. I don't know if it was an order, but he suggested it.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to Abbott.
No, it's true. It's true. He suggested, and of course, it's a suggestion that's to be made by politicians trying to garner support, because most of them are so ignorant they don't even understand that stuff that's touted to be quote unquote Russian might not actually be made from, in, or even have any ties at all to Russia, believe it or not.
And that brings us to our story. To jump in, Stolichnaya vodka, otherwise Stoli vodka, very recognizable, kind of your mid-grade vodka, has an American vodka company, has nothing to do with Russia, just took on a Russian name to sell it as a Russian vodka, has rebranded itself just as Stoli instead of Stolichnaya. So the same thing.
All because of that. Or I guess not that directly, but
I think it's because of that indirectly.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely because of that indirectly. Like, they were fine with it 3 weeks ago. Right?
Yeah.
I'd seen the bottles, and I remember it's like in, I don't even know if it's actual Russian that they do the lettering in, but that was like part of the advertisement on the bottle. And now to rebrand it just to get away from that type of stigma, because I bet their sales have plummeted in the past 3 weeks.
If there was,
and of course, even still, right, there's going to be ignorant politicians that are also going to assume that's from Russia, and there's going to be ignorant voters like supporting those politicians that are also going to be dumb enough to agree, right? Yeah, we should ban Stoli, right? I'm in West Texas. I don't know any better. Like, Stoli sounds like Russian to me. Ban it.
Yeah.
If there was one type of liquor, or which, so of like your major types of liquor, if America just did away with one, because whether tequila because of Mexico or whatever, which one would cause the most uproar? Vodka, whiskey, tequila, rum, take your pick.
Whiskey, I think, right?
I think it'd be vodka.
I think I agree.
I think it'd be vodka. Because men will, like, all right, I see you on whiskey, because I think that's prevailing the male drink of choice if you're going hard liquor, right? But we'll really drink anything, because the object for most guys that drink is to, like, get drunk. Whereas women, they will not drink anything, right? They won't drink anything because they're concerned about their calorie count, or they're concerned about the flavoring of it, or what have you. And 9 times out of 10, that winds up being like a default to vodka. So I think, not to say like it would be the women going nuts, but if you took away the vodka, that would have the most overall uproar, right? Because they'd be joined by men who also love vodka, but they'd be women. Not a great argument, perhaps.
I just think it's the most, maybe plain is not the right word, but you put it in anything. Like, you know, because like whiskey, like I don't really like it's fine, but I'm not the kind of person that would like drink it. But like vodka, you can put it in if you want to drink, just pour vodka in.
Universal,
I mean,
right?
Yeah, I mean that's like what every high school kid did. Oh, put it with Powerade or whatever it was, you know. So I think that would be the one.
You know what? Y'all convinced me.
And hide brown liquor in a water bottle at work.
That is
do that, folks. But if you ever did when you were in college, right? Those colored Nalgene bottles kind of really did stole the show for a good point there in the early 2000s, because they were clutch for the vodka in the bottle.
What about the work from home crowd? Should they be drinking vodka at work?
I mean, I suppose you can, but yeah, probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
Way to begin with.
Yeah. So Stoli, to put a bow on the story, yeah, there's been a lot of protests of Russia. Bar owners have been dumping their vodka out. There have been boycotts of their vodka, but they're actually based in Latvia, and you know, a lot of it's produced in U.S., but according to this, only 1% of vodka consumed in the U.S. is Russian. So most vodka is not Russian. So you probably, like you said, you got Ohio, New Jersey, some of these other states that's mentioned pulling off, you know, American-made vodka with a Russian-sounding name. So, yeah, don't drink vodka at work. It's probably from America. Next story is someone I wanted to talk about. It's fun, nice fun politics story. Is anybody check Marjorie or see that Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke at the white nationalist rally about a week ago?
I'm not surprised to hear that, but no, I didn't see it.
I did see that actually, and saw that she was confronted about it afterwards and kind of said she never knew it was a white nationalist rally. She was just trying to connect with young people who she thought aligned with her message. I don't know how that's not considered to be someone who's basically saying very openly that they're kind of cool with recruiting white nationalists, but we're, again, in this political world that we're in, like the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world, they're not going away. If anything, they're coming even harder in the 2022 midterm elections.
Yeah.
Coming way hard. You want us to come hard, you got us to come hard.
Basically. And so her excuse is crap, because if you listen to it, the guy entered the main guy of the event, what's his name? Fuentes, yeah. Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, there you go. Literally, in the opening remarks, was talking about how our country needs to, you know, have strong white men running everything. That was the intro to the conference, you know, to what she spoke at. So she knew what she was doing. She just didn't like the pushback, but she's very proud of that. And yeah, it's fun. Even Mitt Romney, did you hear his quote?
Well, I know Mitt and even Mitch condemned it. Turtle Mitch talked down to it, which, I mean, doesn't really matter a whole lot anymore, but it's because obviously it's all theater on their part, right? They denounce it just enough to where, you know, they look like they can separate from it, but ultimately they still protect these folks when it comes to, you know, elections and things of that nature. So yeah, it's politics, man. Son of a bitch.
It's always fun. Yeah. Mitch said he had morons on his team, and I have to think that anybody who would sit down with white nationalists and speak at their conference is certainly missing a few IQ points. So
that was Mitt that said that, right?
Mitch Romney. Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney. Yeah, Mitt Romney.
McConnell is who I was talking about, but
Mittens Romney. Yeah.
I can't help it that I have morons as teammates.
Yeah.
But you still call them teammates.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess he could go independent. But no, that was a very interesting story, especially in the wake of all this. Like, I mean, Fox News seems to be fawning over Putin or several of their people, and that crew over there.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, they did up until it happened, and then they all tried to walk it back as if now it's being caused because of Biden's poor international policies. It's yeah, man. I mean, it's just a game. Unfortunately, it's a game that seems to be being lost by people who want good in the world.
Yeah. So, to end on a bright note, no, it's not. Another student, and this is, I call this lovingly the Florida report, because this can only happen in Florida. A 5-year-old Florida student is facing assault charges after attacking a teacher.
Another teacher-student fight? A physical altercation?
Yeah.
The reverse here.
Yes, but it's a
5-year-old? Like, what would a 5-year-old have had to do? I got to hear the details of this story. What would a 5-year-old have had to do to warrant an assault charge?
So, I mean, literally, they have the police report up. They wrote a police report on a 5-year-old. He's facing aggravated assault with hands, fists, and feet. Basically threw a temper tantrum and kind of wailed on the teacher, I guess. Yeah, so he started throwing stuff around, swinging at the teacher, and he was 4 at the time. And used his feet and fists to hit his teacher. And she apparently was seen, when the police got to the scene, she was sitting on the ground feeling faint, and they carried her out in a stretcher.
Wow. I mean, it's rough. Yeah, on the other side, I guess, my wife has told me stories about being kicked, being punched, having all sorts of bodily fluids wiped onto your person. In a normal setting, right? That might be considered assault, but in a classroom setting, it's just kind of par for the course. So, man, I mean, I don't know if this is a slight overreaction or not, right? I'm typically on the side of the educator here, so I don't mean to make light of her injuries, but I mean, a 4 and a 5-year-old, right? I just think of my 4-year-old, you have to be a lot bigger to do some serious damage. But then again, I'm talking about relative to me. Perhaps he could probably take somebody that's a little bit smaller than I am.
Yeah. Give him one of those, get those little big thumps like that and just clock him on the forehead once. He'll stop. No, I don't condone child abuse. Sorry.
Do you think spanking in schools worked? Do you think that was a better system than what we have now? Like the paddle, the fear of the paddle?
I was terrified of that.
Yeah. Right? But I didn't spank for my own parents, and it was enough to curtail me.
No, I can remember being in elementary school and the principal walking around with the paddle in the hallway, and that was like, I don't go near that guy. That's the freaking Grim Reaper. Yes, I fully remember that. Was that a thing when y'all were? I think I'm a couple of years older than y'all, so I don't know if that was still around then. It was kind of fading out as I was going through school.
Nick, I never saw the paddle. Did you?
No, I didn't either. Just missed it.
Yeah, I can remember the paddles being hung up on like teachers' walls and stuff, like Peacemaker, and had holes in it and stuff to give it less wind resistance. Yeah, that was it was terrifying. You lived in constant fear back in those days, so maybe the fear of it needs to be brought back. Just spread those rumors. Every time a kid leaves, he got paddled to death.
Paddle in the school canoe, that's a paddling.
I like that. So that ends our news segment for today. Do we have a Nick Hates It?
Well, we do. I guess it's, I mean, we all probably hate this, but I had food poisoning on Friday. Woke up Friday, middle of the night, food poisoning. I was up from like 3 until, 8 in the morning, finally fell back to sleep. But it's the second time I've had, third time that I've had like bad, got real sick from food poisoning. The first time, actually I was working at the radio station at the time and was doing when we had sports updates, and I did my last one and spent like the next 2 hours like hugging the toilet, like throwing up, trying to finish my shift at the same time. And then the second time was a few years later from a restaurant. But my question to y'all is, are there foods that you now cannot eat or won't eat because they made you really, really sick? So for me, I used to love blackberries, and the first time I got really, really sick that day, I don't even know if this is what it was from, but I ate some blackberries, and then later that night got really, really sick, and now I won't touch them. And then the other time I ate at TGI Fridays, got super, super sick, and I won't eat TGI, although I don't think there's many of them around anymore. Will not eat Fridays anymore either. Those are two places that I cannot, or two things I should say that I cannot eat because I got food poisoning from both of them.
You can go first, Roy. I'm still thinking.
Well, I've never gotten food poisoning, knock on wood. So I've been this lucky. Close to it. And when I say this close to it, like we ordered Rudy's Barbecue there in San Antonio at my parents' place for all the family, right? And we ordered the quarter pound of chopped brisket, right? They serve it to you in these little styrofoam cups, and we got 2 of those. And sure enough, everyone that ate out of 1 cup wound up being okay, but everybody that had any meat out of the second cup that we opened, including my brother-in-law, my father, and my 2 sisters, all the very next day were like completely out of commission for 8 to 10 hours because of food poisoning. And it sounds horrendous. I hope I never end up having to deal with that. But yeah, I'm very fortunate that I've never experienced the food poisoning world.
So I don't have a food per se, but I was talking to Nick before we recorded. There's this little Mexican restaurant where I used to work in Grand Prairie that I enjoyed, and I had their stuffed avocado for lunch one day, and it was good. It wasn't as good as I thought. I was kind of disappointed, but it was okay. I'll tell you, man, next 12 hours were a nightmare. I don't think I made it through my shift at work. I had to go home early and just hugging the toilet. And yeah, it was miserable. And every time, I don't go out there much, but every time I've driven past that place since, my stomach starts hurting and getting in knots. When I've seen the building, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, gosh, that night at the radio station was, maybe the worst. I had to call someone to like come finish my shift. I think I eventually gave up because I was just so sick. But yeah, I didn't have food poisoning for like the first 21 years of my life, and then I got it a few times in a few years, and then just recently again. So it's not fun. Just scratching foods off the list that I won't eat. I also got really sick. I went to Peru and just ate anything they gave me and got really sick there. Real sick. So I don't know if that was like food poisoning as much as it was just like a one-time thing, but it was
eating undercooked meats or something, or like
yeah, something. Well, I think what it was, we were like staying at a place, and somebody pointed out afterwards, they were like, I noticed every time they cook, no matter what our meal is, it smells the same. And so I'm assuming that the cookware that they used was just the same the whole time, and it never really got cleaned very good. And so eventually it caught up to me, and yeah, was not good. I was pounding Imodium for a few days and just hoping to make it through the trip. And yeah, so
was that a front and back experience? The food poisoning?
Typically, yes. That time was just the back, but typically it's front and back, top and bottom.
I've never had to do that either. I've never been sitting on the toilet while also kind of having to make the gap between my legs so I can. get
you've got the
that
trash
spot.
can. Yeah.
Right, you're trying to hit that kind of V, that little half circle that you got between you and the toilet, and you never know what the projection of the vomit might look like and be like.
And like you feel better once it's over, but you get so dehydrated, and it's bad. This past time wasn't that bad, but a few of them were not just that bad. So, anyways, feeling way better now. But there's some foods that I cannot eat anymore because they put me out of commission for a while.
So that is
food poison. I co-sign that. It sounds awful.
Worthy inclusion into the Nick hate list. Roy, do you have anything for us today?
Man, I wish I could say that I've done so many interesting things. Did take the kids to the local rec center pool, and I love the fact that there's a local rec center that I can take the kids to, but I can't help but be in that pool and think incessantly about how much fluid and urine, and the smell of it isn't even quite like what I think of extremely clean, like chlorine. It's got a little bit of this indoor kind of mustiness to it that I'll be honest, it's difficult for me to get past, but because my kids love it so much, I feel obligated to get in there and swim with them. And of course my son, he's just learning now, 4.5 years now, about to be 5, and he still has the terrible habit of swallowing as much water as he can when he's swimming. So after every trip, I hear him burping on the way home, and I'm just like, oh.
It's making my stomach hurt, man.
The first thing we do when we get home is hit the showers.
Yeah.
So if I had anything love my community. Thank God they provide me with a pool that I can, subscribe to, because otherwise my kids wouldn't even have that opportunity, right? I'm not fortunate enough to have a pool in my own backyard in the great state of Texas. So, thanks for that. But if I had to make a complaint, and I don't know what they would do to fix it, but
yeah.
Community pools, man, they're a risk in and of themselves.
Anytime I go swimming and there's kids around, I'm like, I know. You accept it. You know that you're swimming in more than just water, and that's just part of it.
Well, my own body too, right? I'll play with the kids, so I'll be on my knees, kind of playing with them, right? And they have these grates, so you kind of take your knees over the grates, and you can kind of feel the grates push and peel away at your skin a little bit. And then I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, my own skin is coming off in this pool, this lazy river and whirlwind of pool that really never gets cleaned or changed or anything. Just kind of gets recirculated and recirculated. So, fun times. Love the swimming wreck, and so do my kids.
So I have a community pool story real quick. So I lived in an apartment, my first apartment, 2 roommates, right out of high school. And they had a pool. So we go down one day into the pool, and it's not very big, and there's kids, and there's a ton of people there. And we jump in, we're swimming, whatever. And there's 2 people in the deep end. Mind you, this scenario, man and woman having relations middle of the day, right on inside the pool, right up against the side. That was, it was pretty wild, and how no one acknowledged it. It just seemed like me and my roommates were the only ones that seemed to be bothered by it. We left the pool because, no, thank you. But he's just we're leaving the pool and there's kids jumping in. Does no one see this?
Yeah, now, my daughter is too young, but as fathers, both of you, I guess girl, boy, doesn't matter. Do you say something? If your kids are hopping in, they're let's jump in the deep end. They can swim now. Are you?
Yeah, you say something. No, son, you're not going in there.
No,
why, Dad?
Do you say something to them? Are you hey, knock it off, or do you just leave?
I'm not ready to be that parent yet. I'm not ready to be that parent that, at the sporting event tells a young set of people, right? First of all, in today's day and age, you don't know what type of reaction you're going to get when you try to tell anybody anything, right, in public. But number two, like, it's almost like I feel a little bit helpless. Like, I can't do anything. All I can affect is me, right, in our decision making. So, two people having sex in the pool, we are not going in that pool. Unfortunately, when I really think about it, every apartment community pool has had people have sex in it. Because my wife and I had sex in an apartment community pool more than one. So, there you go.
I guess fair enough. I don't know. Then it was just league. Now, I don't know. I kind of have a foot and mouth problem. The over aggressiveness it was put in my head in the Marine Corps comes out every now and again when I get mad. So,
yeah,
I don't avoid those things.
I don't know if I'd say something directly, but I'm the kind of person, like, I would just act like I was oblivious and, like, be swimming and, like, jump in right next to him, like that kind of thing. But I don't know if I'd directly say something. Like, I'm not that, I don't like direct confrontation. Like, I would just, pretend like I had no idea. Right. See if they can handle, the waves. But yeah, I'm not that confrontational.
Yeah, that was a funny day. Enough of pool talk. We got to get into the thing that matters most, and that's Cobra Kai. So we're doing episodes 8 and 9, right? Since we missed last week.
Yeah, I've got my notes. Let me get my notes out on my phone here.
Okay.
I've got to take, because depending on when I get to watch it, I always forget. But yeah, 8 and 9. Start us off if you want. I feel like I've got thoughts here.
I've got the Wikipedia up, so I'm ready to.
So I watched 8 last week. We didn't talk about it. I watched it again to refresh, and I watched 9 a couple hours ago. 8, it was, to me, felt fillery, but it did have that weird Stingray guy, like,
randomly back. That's the big thing.
So he was back, and
why did they waste this long? Yeah.
And it didn't even really drive the story. I guess he threw the party that, after the post-prom party. But otherwise, just the altercation between Johnny and Silver.
Yeah. We've talked about this a lot. Like, when is Silver going to take that turn? Like, where he's, like, the real bad guy? And it starts to happen in the 8th episode. One thing, and they didn't build on this in the 9th episode, so I don't know, who knows what happened, but, like, Tori and Robbie really becoming a thing. Is there like a love square, happening between the four teenagers? So nothing, really, happens in the 8th or 9th episode with that, so we'll see. But really, like, the stuff with Anthony, like, that felt really filler, like Daniel's son, like the whole, parenting thing. That whole thing felt a little filler-y to me. And then there was the whole, like, Johnny gets super drunk, Miguel, like, takes care of him, and then he calls Miguel Robbie. Like, that's, like, really all that I wrote down. The only things that we talked about, them being at the old dojo was a nice flashback, like, to the original movie fans. Yeah. But there wasn't a whole lot. There wasn't anything like big stepping stones or any stories tied in a knot, anything like that.
Yeah. So episode 9, though, we finally get to the All Valley, but I feel like, especially after that episode, I feel like 10's going to have to do a whole lot to wrap some things up.
And the first, like, 5 to 8 minutes of that episode was kind of lame, like the skills competition. And then Carrie Underwood randomly is there for the...
how about a big name like Carrie Underwood they get to perform for the opening ceremonies?
The montage. I would have liked it if they would have just stuck with the original song, like, you're the best around, like that song. It was a little, they kind of threw some lines from the song in there, which I thought was clever. I really did not love the Carrie Underwood thing. Like, I like Carrie Underwood. I think she's good looking. She's a good musician, but kind of weird. But I thought they should have stuck with the original song. Personally, the big thing, and this has been happening for several episodes, one of my favorite parts of the season has been the whole transformation of Hawk back to Eli. Like, like from being a total jerk, a-hole, to kind of back to like trying to figure out, you know, who he is. Really like that a lot. Thought they built that in nicely. And then, the two big moments, Robbie just totally destroying that,
I know,
going like full Cobra Kai. That kick to the face that he got him with, I thought was good. Like, that was very old Cobra Kai, you know, kind of dirty, but still get you a point. And then, Miguel hurting his back again is the ultimate cliffhanger. I was shocked by that personally. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Like, I was telling my wife is sitting there, obviously, while I'm watching this, and she couldn't care less. But I'm like, there's three of them. There's Robbie, there's Eli, there's Miguel. Like, how are they going to make this work? Because they're all kind of like big characters. Like, I could see all of them winning. Like, what's going to happen to even this out? And I did not expect, Miguel to get hurt again, and that'd be the thing that gives us our championship fight potentially. Depending on, we don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to pull like, oh, he's going to try to fight kind of thing? I don't know, but I thought that was a great way to end the ninth episode.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Something I noticed during that was, I think Johnny Lawrence is the best sensei out of all of them. Like, just for like,
I would agree
in the group, because Daniel seems to get like a real stick up his butt whenever any of the students use any other discipline or any other style.
Now, the guy you like, is that Eagle Fang or is it Miyagi-Do?
Eagle Fang.
Eagle Fang.
Yeah, Johnny. Miyagi-Do is Daniel's son, and he gets mad at his daughter for using some Eagle Fang techniques. Like, she won. She did her job, and she did well. And obviously, Cobra Kai is just run by two, reprehensible human beings. But yeah, I found like just watching it, seeing how like when they were all talking, Johnny just seems like the best one. Like, that's my guy. That's my leader. I'm pulling for them.
And like his, just the Johnny bit that they've committed to since the start of the show is hilarious. Like, it provides, good comic relief, and he's just the same. And so I really like that. I will say I've gotten a little annoyed with like Daniel being like overly committed to the Miyagi. Like, it feels kind of corny.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the show feels corny. Like, it's, it has since the beginning. But like, even it's like a little much for me. Like, okay, we get it. Like, let's move on. We don't, every time he doesn't need to, point that out. But really like the ninth episode. I think it's building to something, to be a good finish. And I did see, and now I don't know if Netflix, I don't know if it's like official, but they put, when I was watching the 8th and 9th episode, they like put in the, in the small description and stuff, they've renewed for like the next season is confirmed. So there's going to be a 5th season. So we'll see how this one ends and builds to, whatever's next.
So how do you feel about it? Because I think we talked about it last week with Dan. Was with Cobra Kai, would you be happy with 5 real quality seasons, or do you want it to kind of go as long as they have a story to tell?
I think I'd be fine with 5. I think really, if they would have tied it all up, I could have been fine with 3 or 4. I think so many shows carry on for way too long, or like a lot of shows could be just one season, and it'd be great, and I'm fine with that. But so many shows just drag on, and if they can find one little crack to extend the story, they're going to do that, and then it just waters it down, and too much of a good thing, like that whole thing. But I would be fine with one more quality season. Now, caveat, if they keep making it, I'll probably keep watching it. I'm not. It's like the whole. We talked like 2 weeks ago. Like, if the NFL keeps putting stuff on TV that they're, the draft, the games, I'm going to keep
Combine.
Right.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl, I'll throw on the Pro Bowl, whatever. So if it's out there, I'll probably watch it. But if they wrap it up with one more, I'm good with that.
Yeah. So next week, the final episode we'll talk about, and we'll have a special guest commentator. We'll keep that a surprise till then. But gents, yesterday I made a trek out to the movie theater with my two youngest kids because my wife and oldest daughter went to UNT for a campus visit. We saw the Batman in theaters.
Oh, Nick is thrilled to hear about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I love Marvel movies. I love comic book movies, but Nick is even a bigger fan of them than I am. So, Nick, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, so let me say this: I will probably see this movie. Batman was my favorite growing up. In fact, on my desk at work, I have I guess it's actually a paperweight. It's a little metal, like this big Batman figurine that I've had since I was extremely small, but I keep it on my desk just like as a fun reminder that I've had it forever. But I do really like Batman. I will say, just on the surface, is it Robert Pattinson? Is that his name?
Yeah.
He looks a little emo for my liking. Like, looks a little bit...
Still got his Twilight tinge on.
Yeah, like is he going to be in a screamo band as well? But I am interested in this movie, so don't throw out any major spoilers. Although it's Batman, so whatever.
Spoiler. He's going to spend most of the movie brooding, and it's going to be real dark. And in general, it probably won't have you feeling very good by the end of it, right? Even if he's successful, it probably doesn't have you feeling good by the end of it.
I'm interested in this movie, so I'm going to see it at some point.
So I had very little hopes. Like I was going to do Robert Pattinson, Twilight.
No hope. I actually am. I'm kind of jacked about this movie. I've been reading enough to feel good about Twilight Boy. Like.
He was good. He was different. And one thing, minor spoiler, if you want to call it that, there's not a lot of like Bruce Wayne stuff. He's pretty much Batman the whole time. So yeah, you don't see that emo-y side. Like what you see in the commercials is about all there is. Now it's a 3-hour movie. It's a long one. Very dark, darker than the Christopher Nolan ones. But it's
darker than the Christopher Nolan ones.
Darker. Go ahead. Oh, it's a film noir, so it's truly a detective movie. It's different than any other Batman. It's very much him trying to solve a case. So if you like kind of like those kind of suspenseful mystery detective show like that, you'll enjoy it. And I thought it was great, the way it was kind of put together. Pattinson was perfect for the role. He really nailed it.
Does he have a Batman voice?
Not really, no.
It makes it massively different the way that Christian Bale did.
Not quite like that. He seems to be pretty much
good.
Yeah, his voice.
Are they gonna? And this is the naive, this is probably a dumb question. Is this gonna are they gonna continue the Joker and tie this in, or is that standing? Are they gonna pull like a Marvel and tie these together, or like they've done some in the past? Did we know this?
Adam, I've not heard anything about that. I've not heard anything about them tying the Joaquin Phoenix Joker character to this Batman. In fact, everything that I've understood, and I'm not saying it's not possible, right? It actually would be a very cool crossover if they did tie that in, but they were not made with the intent to build to something like that.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam. Maybe a spoiler alert here. You might say that is the case, but in my opinion, I think the Joker world and the Batman world that we're looking at with Robert Pattinson are two completely different worlds.
Yeah, so I don't want to spoil anything, but they are not connected at all. And if you watch it, you'll see that they're not connected.
I was calling Farrell, though, as the Penguin because his makeup, I will say, I could not tell that was him.
No, you can't throughout the movie. He's. I mean, it's really good. I mean, it's one of those like, why would you spend the extra money on Colin Farrell for that? I kind of felt that a little bit, but no, he played the role well. The Penguin character again. If you think about like the '90s Batman Penguin, Danny DeVito looking like a penguin.
Yeah,
nothing like that. It's not. It's not that's what I enjoyed about it. It's not cartoonish at all. It's very like, okay, you could almost, there's less suspension of disbelief in this than in other Batman movies.
So he's not tearing into a vicious in the office the way Danny DeVito did in the 1980s or 90s version.
No.
That scene always cracked me up.
Yes, it grossed me out, but nothing like that. It was solid, and you're right. It's kind of wins at the end, but you're like, man, really wasn't. It was a close victory. Let's put it that way.
It is and again, this is the I don't watch the Marvel movies. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last one I saw. But like, obviously,
the best.
Obviously, Marvel is like up here. Like, everyone loves it, super popular. Is this DC's way of like trying to keep up? Like, let's go completely the other way. Very, very dark. I mean, the Joker, obviously, like, that movie was extremely dark. Like, you're walking out like kind of sad, kind of. Is that the only way they could like keep up?
I don't think so. With DC, I think they should build off of Shazam. I love that movie.
I like Shazam a lot, actually. Like, we just threw that on one night because, I mean, I kind of knew what it was, but we really had no idea. I really enjoyed that movie a lot. I thought it was good.
Yeah, and that's why I'm excited about Black Adam, because it's obviously that's Shazam's big enemy in the comics. But I don't see this version of Batman tying in. Like, I don't see him starting the Justice League. I don't see that what they've set up being the kind of Batman that is what you've seen in other incantations. That leader, he's not that. He's very reclusive. He's very emo-ish. So I don't know how they would have to really evolve that personality to build off of this Batman movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the original thought between these kind of comic book rivals was that DC was on the same level as Marvel. Over the last decade, that has drastically shifted to the point that Marvel's like the big top dog at this point, right?
Right.
And DC has its own lane, and they have started to expand that brand, as we talked about. The Peacemaker character and John Cena's portrayal of that is a phenomenal character. And if you haven't seen the show on HBO, or you haven't seen Suicide Squad, right, I would start with that, and then, because that's one that I think you can watch if you're not really that into the superhero genre of like guys being super strong or having special powers, right? His character has none of those things, right? He just can use weapons well. But that's kind of the extent of it, right? And he's sarcastic and all that stuff, right? Is DC kind of clawing their way back into relevancy? Have they done that to the point that they're rivaling Marvel? Absolutely not. Have they done it to the point where they've at least erased some of the bad taste that they've put in consumers' mouths over the past decade between like the Superman and Batman collaborations and all those things? I think they have done that. I think they've restored a little bit of their ability to tell their own versions of comic book stories, and their world, right, is starting to be built. Whereas Marvel's has been built now for a decade and a half, and it's just expanding and expanding. DC is still like kind of looking for that foundation that we all agree was a fantastic like beginning portrayal, and all they've really had in that regard is Batman up to this point, right? Now they've expanded a little bit further with Joker, with, like I said, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker on HBO Max, and probably some in the coming years, right? Black Adam being a big one there, because that's going to star The Rock, and anything with The Rock is going to gross a lot of money in Hollywood.
Yeah. This year they have another Aquaman, the Flash movie, and Black Adam coming out, all live action. So I'm looking forward to them. I don't know if they need to be like Marvel to be successful. I don't think they can. I don't think we'll ever see anything like Marvel again. So maybe they tried, it didn't work, and I think what they're doing is fine.
We'll never see anything like Marvel again because Marvel will probably crush anything in its infancy, like before it ever gets to that point.
Yeah.
Just buy them up and make them their own.
Exactly. Well, that's our TV talk. Let's, before we get out of here, some more basketball talk than anything. How we feeling about the Mavs after this Porzingis trade? They're looking pretty sharp. Dinwiddie has come alive. Bertans has provided some offense off the bench, and I thought they had a really good win against the Kings the other day without Luka, led by Dinwiddie and Brunson. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll keep it short and say this: the way they've played recently has me believing that they could actually win a first-round playoff series. Before this recent stretch, I thought, well, maybe they could. Luka will have to, be out of his mind. They might have to get some luck, but they're going to fall out in the first round. Depending on what matchup they get, I feel pretty good that they could win a first-round playoff series. And if they do that, to me, it's a successful season for them.
Yeah, that's kind of as far as I'll go as well in terms of like my confidence meter. Yes, looks like they got better out of this trade, right? Not only addition by subtraction, but addition by addition. And two guys in Dinwiddie and Bertans, who appear to be bringing something to the table that the Mavs did not have, right? A little bit of outside scoring, a little bit of individual, brilliance from Dinwiddie and kind of what he can do on both ends of the floor of what he brings to the table. But I'll be honest, I'm following it kind of from a surface level portion because I don't get Bally Sports. Big middle finger to Bally and the folks who run it there at Sinclair Media, not to again take things into like a political thing, but they have basically played hardball with like the YouTube TVs of the world and all that to where you have to pay for it individually. And from everything I hear, their sports app sucks. It's not even capable of allowing you to watch. Like, how do you not have that ready to go if you're going to be your own entity of like sports entertainment? So yeah, good for the Mavs. They do look a lot better. Are they a top 4 team in the West? Well, not yet. They're knocking on the door, but they're just behind Utah right after winning 5 straight. So that's great. But like Nick said, I still think the expectation should be that they win a first round series, right? That's the evolution of this thing. Yeah. They've now lost 2 in a row. They need to win 1 to start taking the steps forward necessary to keep Luka like engaged and wanting to stay here, because that's ultimately what it's all about.
Yeah. Here's a stat, and I saw this today when I was putting together the show. So this is the first year since they won the finals that they were above relative offensive rating in the league in both relative rating offense and defensively. So they're actually their efficiency is above league average in both offense and defense. Sorry, and that's the first time that's happened since the year they won the title, since 2011. I don't know if that means anything if y'all buy stats like that, but I thought that was interesting, kind of looking at their numbers as a team for the year.
What do you read into that?
It can't be a bad thing. I think defensively is where I've been the most, impressed. I think Jason Kidd has helped that a lot. I also have started to have these thoughts, and it's probably just recency bias. But did we give Rick Carlisle too much credit for his past success? Because I think Jason Kidd has unlocked some things with the Mavericks that Rick couldn't do. Now, is some of that because they didn't like playing for him? Was that part of Luka that didn't love playing for Rick Carlisle? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not there. But to me, I think that is certainly good news, and I think it's a credit to Jason Kidd, and hopefully gets them that next step, and they've certainly got to start, winning some playoff games, win a playoff series, like Roy said, because in today's NBA, Luka, I mean, he can, make his way out the door if he wants to, and make it happen, even though he's got a contract. So, I think we're looking towards them winning one, but we can talk a lot about it, but they've got to show up and do it.
Yeah, but it's good fun thing, especially since there's no baseball. Like Roy, I wish I had access to watch more of their games.
There ain't gonna be any baseball, man. Like, every time you hear reports that, we're like closer, it really pissed me off. If you want to, Roy hates things. It really pissed me off the way that the news cycle started shirting between a bunch of baseball insiders maybe a week and a half ago about how close they actually were, as if all of a sudden overnight everybody had dropped their grievances and their demands, and they're like, yeah, you know what, we're totally close. And it felt like something that was put out there by media members who have engagement or access to ownership groups, and it felt like they were just basically towing the line of the owners, to the point that the players had a press conference, right? That same day, no one showed up. No one covered it.
Wow.
The NFL, Rob Manfred had his big meeting. He's smiling, all this stuff. The players had their own response press conference, and no one gave a shit. So I don't know what needs to be done. Ultimately, I'm a baseball fan, so I just want them to get back on the field. But I will never play the players are asking for too much, blah, 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 because the owners put $650 million in their pockets last season, a stupid amount of money. And they can afford to give minor league players health care. They can afford to pay
that's un-American, sir.
Yeah, right? If the tops of the system are making what they're making, they can afford these things. And maybe that needs to, maybe we do need to have a salary cap there in some capacity. But, even the sports that we have a salary cap, right? The players are not getting 60, 70%. They're getting 51%. Which means the other 30 team owners are getting the other 49%, right? 51% split between the entire player pool within the sport, 49% split between a handful of guys in one room. Who's the one that can give a little bit there, ultimately?
Yeah, I'll steal a Nick line. They can get all the way out of my face with that. We got close talk.
Such bullshit.
Yeah. I have this debate. Me and my dad debate this a lot. I just think the NBA does it so well with contracts and how they put everything together. It just seems like the MLB would benefit so much from taking the framework from the NBA and starting from that, how they profit share, how players are paid, max contracts, things like that, so that there's money for minor leaguers and to have insurance.
The insurance side I agree with, but ultimately the contract side of it, the best one is the NFL, because you get paid for what you do, and there's a chance that I can get rid of you if you can no longer do what I paid you to do, right? Whereas baseball, I pay you $30 million a year for 5 years. You perform like a $30 million player one time, then something happens, and we know you're never going to be a $30 million player again, but I've got to pay you $30 million for another 4 years. That also is kind of, if I had one complaint about the players, right, these fully guaranteed contracts do kind of F over the team building aspect of things. Now, it's not the players' fault that the NFL, that the MLB owners are shelling out those 5-year, $180 million deals, right? So that's not the players' fault. I'm not blaming them for that, but at the same time, it is a problem with the way that their salaries are set up.
Yeah, so let's not kick that too hard. Any thoughts on Coach K's home finale? I know you're tweeting a lot about it, Nick. No,
I don't have any thoughts.
Don't have any thoughts. All right.
You sad? Are you sad about it?
I mean, I personally, like, I don't know. My buddy asked me, like, who were you more sad about their last game? Like, Big Ben, Dirk, Coach K. And Coach K was a distant third on that list. Like, you're just not as emotionally tied to, like, coaches, even if you're a fan of a team. But yeah, just not many thoughts other than that.
Legend. I mean, congrats on all your success. You know, tough way to go out in Cameron, getting your ass kicked by your rival. But you know, that's the way it goes when you're the top dog, man. Everybody's going to bring their best against you. That's what the Cowboys face week in and week out when it comes to football, and that's a powerful motivator.
Mm. Yeah, so Coach K's out. We are kind of up against it. I have a few more things, but I think we could push that till next week. So unless y'all have anything else, Roy, you got anything before we get out of here?
I wish I did, brother, but we've had a good little run here, and hopefully some good content for folks to enjoy.
Awesome. Nick?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, until we see you again, stay above average.